Hello, it's Joe Glines, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate a cool little script I wrote along with how I've configured Dropbox. It's also very handy for if you have network drives or you work at you have mapped network drives, I should say, especially at work, and you go to share those files with someone else and you've mapped the path to somewhere else, and of course the path doesn't work for them. So first off, here's my script. This just set up, has some default, nothing really major in there. This will reload it. Then it says, okay, hey, if the active class is this W class, which is the Windows Explorer, so only run this, everything in between here and here, right? This closes that out. So between this and this, if you hit Ctrl+C while you're in Explorer window, so if I hit Ctrl+Shift+C, it's going to do everything in here, right? Very first thing it's going to do is, oh, you know what? And sorry, I borrowed this from somewhere else, so I can just get rid of that. Hopefully, we'll still work here without any issues. I have that subroutine in a lot of other places, but I just moved it over here because I didn't want to have to explain it. I forgot to get rid of the label. Anyway, so I first blank out the clipboard, and then so I hit Ctrl+Shift+C, I blank out the clipboard, I send Ctrl+C, which is going to, of course, copy, and then it's going to wait for up to a second for something to actually be in the clipboard. If nothing shows up in the clipboard, it'll actually tell me there's an error and stop running, right? So that's what this whole bit in here is. I rarely have issues with it, but with Windows 7, I've run into send input and send play and send event and send, and they all, just depending on your computer and your UAC settings, act a little differently. So anyway, once you get this in there, what you're going to do is this is going to take the path and wrap it in quotes and store it here. And this is a cheat sheet for you. I have already, let me uncomment this. I'm going to save it, reload it, and now when I got to be in Explorer. So I'll go back to Explorer. And if I right now hit Ctrl+Shift+C, it's going to tell me, oh, hey, my username is Joe, and my computer name is Godzilla. To me, these are some of the two easiest, I just reloaded the script, two easiest things that you would use in your logic, right? Because if you have the same username on multiple computers, it's nice because then all you have to do is use your username, right? And depending on which computer you're on, if you've set them up to be the same, it's the same program. Or you might want to have the computer name, right? So, like at work, let's say it's conceivable I could have had the same username, but my computer name, and actually at home I have 3 laptops and a kitchen, computer. My username still might be the same, but the paths on those computers might be different, and so I'd like to differentiate it that way, and that's what I would identify first, and then use that in the logic. So I'm going to comment that back out. These, for now, I can comment these out. They're just examples of network drives, but here's the cool thing. On my computer, this B drive, so let me show you here, and see how there's, under C, it goes to Dropbox, and then under Dropbox I have camera uploads, and then there's, let's see, 1,082 pictures and whatnot in here. Well, and let me screenshot this, 1,082. So if we go to here in my B drive, right, and oh look, there'll be a camera uploads folder, and was I in the root? I think so. Oh, and here, can you see here? There's 1,082 files, right? That is because these files, and actually, if I got rid of a file here, it would delete it from the other one. Because this is not really a drive. This is just a redirect. It's actually a setting here in your registry, and this is the key value. And this is where, so you navigate all the way down to this DOS. And first of all, back up your registry. I don't want anyone to ever do something in here and not have backed it up and delete something, and then they can't boot their computer and scream at me. So just be very careful. You mess up your registry, you can be in a world of hurt. That's all I can say. Anyway, after you navigate down to this, under DOS devices, see how I've put B: here, and that's where I wanted to create a B drive. And when I double click into it, so here is the, and let me copy this and put it in my script as well, so it's handy because I put the path up here. So this is the path to that key in the registry. This is what I use to create that fake B drive. Of course, who has an A and a B drive anymore, right? So it goes to wherever your Dropbox is configured. So what's nice is, like at work, my Dropbox was in a different location, and of course I would just put the whole path to the Dropbox there and still make it my B drive. And so my paths for all my files were always the same, and every computer I go to, they're always the same, because I put everything under that. It's all to my B drive. B drive stays consistent across computers, and life is good, because then if you write a lot of code, the path, takes care of itself. So let me demonstrate how it helps in this case. In this case, I'm doing a little differently. What I'm saying is, hey, you know what? If I'm going to go share this with something, actually, some Windows 7 programs, especially at work, if you're not a super admin, and certain programs look at if you have supposed to have access, or somehow it's reading it, and it gets caught up when I try to actually access it from my B drive instead of from this path. Even though it's the same stupid folder and same privileges, it'll hang me up. So what I've done is, in here, notice I'm on the B camera uploads, and whatever this file is, I'm going to hit Ctrl+Shift+C. Oh, now I left my message box in there. That's just irrelevant right now. But when I hit paste, let me come in here and hit paste. Notice it has swapped out the B, and it's put in C:/Dropbox/, right? And that is because, that is because it ran through here. And let me comment out, where's my... Oh, I just didn't reload it. Okay, now I reload it. All right. So it says, hey, if the username is Joe, which we saw earlier, right, when we were doing this one, it was. If the username is Joe, then do a string replace, and string replace what the variable that's in the clipboard with the variable clipboard, and look for B:/. And when you find B:/, replace it with C:/Dropbox/, right? So that way, anytime the username is Joe and it finds B:/, it's going to put in this, right? And then, of course, I have the path to the file that I was in, which is awesome. Similar thing can be done, like at work. I have a mapped network drive for my E drive, and it's for email. So E, right? That I make it to my email folder. E, I picked a nice letter that was easy for me to remember. This is my username on my work computer. And so I do the same thing, but it says, hey, when you find E:, and to be more consistent, I should have done it this way. It's just easier to read. Right? That way, E:/, replace that with... Now here's the tricky part. You gotta remember, // and then the name of your network, what is that, server, I think? But then the folder. And then when you email that path to somebody else, they will have access to it, because it has the entire path, not just the mapped network path. Otherwise, it'll just give you the short path, and it won't work for them, and it just sucks. What's nice is I even have it. I had this configured for a couple other people, and I had their usernames, and so that allowed me to have one script that just had, depending on what user. So even if I was logged in on their computer, and of course it moves all my other local settings there, the path would then be valid, and it takes care of it. But that's it. It's a nice, simple, easy way to, one, edit your registry, make a B drive. I love the B drive, so I have an icon here. I can just click it, jump to it. It has all my stuff in Dropbox. It's nice and tight. I even put my desktop and my... Let me move over my start menu here. And quick launch bar. So all of these shortcuts, these are all shortcuts for launching programs. These are all shortcuts to folders. And notice I have my B and C and G. These are all just shortcuts to different things I use very frequently. And these are all under Dropbox. So if I was to log into my work computer, you would see all of these are identical. So I don't have to keep updating them everywhere. They're updated in one place. But that B root, man, if you do a lot of programming and that path matters, and you don't have an easy way to do a it's not an absolute, I can't think of the other relative path, then this is a sort of a nice workaround. You can also try the substitute command, but the really nice thing about the registry patch, this edit, is if you do it this way, before Windows even boots, right? Before you ever get to anything, this drive already exists, and that's where I ran into using the substitute command. That if that command substitute, you can create a B drive, you can create whatever drive you want, similar in overall concept. However, it doesn't necessarily happen right away, and if you have other programs that launch, then they may not work because there may or may not be a B drive at that point in time. And this I have found to be a much more solid, reliable way to create a drive without having to worry about it. Thank you. Okay, I just realized one other thing. What I should have showed you also was the nice thing about this script is if you have, I work out of Explorer almost all the time, so I can highlight a file, and let's say I'm somewhere really low in, you know, in an area where I had to navigate to. I don't want to go too far down, but let's see. Boy, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's easy to. Oh, I know something. So let's go to my B, into SPSS, into macros, and flag. So let's say I was in here and I wanted to, let's say it was a CSV file. Actually, if I think about it, I think if I go to syntax here, let's Excel. Well, that's in principle it'll still work. I was hoping to have like a CSV file that you'd want to open in a certain thing. So I just hit Ctrl+Shift+C, and now I can open any program. And this works truly with like any program. If you hit open and you hit paste, right? When you paste, you now have the path to that file, right? And so that allows me to not have to go navigate to it, and I can just hit open. Of course, that's an Excel file, so in Sight it's not going to look great, but it's very, very handy. So I'm going to hit. This is just a text file, so Ctrl+Shift+C. I come in here, I hit Control Open, hit paste. Enter, and there it is. Right, it copies, opens. It works almost always all the time, if that's some way to say that. The other great thing is you can have some hot strings, and so let's say I was going to save this file, save as, and I have a bunch of hot strings. So so p.temp. So did you see how it put in the C:/temp and then hit return? Let me show you in here. I'm going to type it one more time. So P for path for me in my head. P path temp, right? And see it added the C:/ and return, or I could say P dot back. No. P dot T dot email, and so that's the path to my email network drive, right? So, and the point being is you could be in here and say P dot T dot email, and it's going to put that path there. I can hit open. I'm not on my network drive at work, so it won't work. But having those handy, and let me show you the format of those real quick.
Inconceivable!
So these are how I have those written, right? So these are the different paths that I use pretty frequently. And here's my temp. It was one letter for macros and syntax, and I don't know why. I guess because I couldn't remember what was what there. But you can see having paths that you use a lot, it can come in very handy. Especially this. I forgot I even had this one for AutoHotkey, so I could say p.ahk, and it navigates me right to that folder, right where I want to be, right? So it's a lot easier than navigating all the time. And that but the reason why I open this back up is if you hit Ctrl+Shift+C, and in any program, let's go to Excel now, although I don't know what it's going to do with that program file. Bring it over, hit Control Open, and paste, and it opened it right up, right? So that's also why I put those quotes around there, because when it didn't have quotes, it would have a lot of errors. And the programs I typically use, they're not like AutoHotkey. They want you to have the quotes around them with the syntax. Thanks.